Welcome back to Poorly Educated Today in the News, where the world continues to prove that if you leave the adults unsupervised long enough, they will absolutely turn the entire planet into a demolition derby sponsored by oil companies and congressional subpoenas. The first week of March has delivered war, economic chaos, government meltdowns, weird science, and enough global nonsense to make a raccoon look organized. So grab a chair, maybe duct tape your expectations to the floor, and let's walk through the week where the news cycle hit the gas pedal and apparently lost the brakes. Segment 1, Operation Epic Fury and the world's most expensive fireworks show. So the big story is the war now officially known as Operation Epic Fury, which sounds less like a military campaign and more like a monster truck rally sponsored by a gas station energy drink. The United States and Israel have been launching strikes deep inside Iran, knocking out missile sites, hitting the Natanz nuclear facility, and basically flying bombers around like they're doing laps at Talladega. At one point, a submarine even sank an Iranian naval vessel, which is the first time we've had that kind of torpedo action since World War II. And apparently, the Pentagon remembered they had the button. Now here's where things got real weird real fast. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in a strike, which created the kind of political vacuum that makes every geopolitical expert start sweating like a mechanic trying to fix a tractor with duct tape and prayer. Without that central authority, retaliation started flying everywhere. Missiles at Israel, drones at Saudi Arabia, strikes around the Gulf, and suddenly the entire region looked like someone shook up a soda can full of rockets. The grounded reality underneath the chaos is that once wars start bouncing between multiple countries, nobody is fully steering the bus anymore. Iran's own president literally had to apologize to neighboring states because parts of his military were launching attacks he didn't even approve. When the guy technically running the country says, "Please stop shooting everybody," that's usually a sign the situation has reached the international equivalent of a bar fight, where nobody remembers who threw the first punch. Segment 2, the Strait of Hormuz traffic jam from hell. Now, while missiles were flying, the global economy decided to panic like a chicken that just discovered math. The Strait of Hormuz, which carries about 20% of the world's oil, basically turned into the world's most dangerous toll booth. Around 150 cargo ships ended up anchored outside the strait because nobody wants to drive a tanker through an active missile exchange. Oil prices immediately jumped like they saw a ghost. Brent crude shot past $85 a barrel, and natural gas prices in Europe spiked so fast, economists started using words like shockwave and contagion, which are usually reserved for zombie movies. The reason is simple. When energy gets expensive, literally everything else does too. Transportation, groceries, electricity, fertilizer, the whole system starts wheezing like an old pickup trying to climb a mountain. The U.S. government responded by creating a $20 billion maritime insurance backstop so ships would keep sailing through the region. Think of it like the federal government telling shipping companies, "Go ahead and risk getting blown up. We'll help cover the bill." It's the geopolitical equivalent of a friend saying, "Jump the river in that truck. I promise I'll help fix it later." The scary part is that this kind of financial duct tape only works if the rockets eventually stop. Segment 3. The economy trips over its own boots. Back here in the United States, the labor market decided this was a great time to fall down the stairs. February's jobs report showed the economy losing 92,000 jobs, which is not exactly what economists predicted, unless their forecast was, uh-oh. The unemployment rate ticked up, and several major sectors started cutting workers, including transportation and warehousing, which got hammered by the new tariffs. And that's the kicker. At the exact same moment oil prices are climbing because of war, the administration also slapped a 10% tariff on basically everything imported into the country. That means businesses are paying more for materials while also paying more for fuel. It's the economic equivalent of trying to run a restaurant where the electricity bill doubled and someone stole the stove. The Federal Reserve now has to decide whether to cut interest rates to help the slowing economy or keep them high to fight inflation caused by energy prices. That's like trying to cool down a house that's both on fire and freezing at the same time. Somewhere inside the Fed building, there are probably economists staring at spreadsheets like farmers staring at a tornado thinking, well, this is going to ruin the harvest. Segment 4. The DHS soap opera and cabinet musical chairs. Meanwhile, Washington decided it wasn't chaotic enough and fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem right in the middle of a government shutdown at the department. The immediate scandal involved a $220 million advertising campaign that featured Noem dramatically riding a horse in front of Mount Rushmore like she was auditioning for a patriotic perfume commercial. When Congress started asking questions about who approved the ad campaign, she said the president did. The president then publicly said he had never heard of it. That is the political version of two kids pointing at each other after a window breaks. Suddenly, everybody's memory gets real foggy. Trump replaced her with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, who is not only a politician but also an MMA fighter, which means Homeland Security may soon be the only federal agency where the secretary can literally solve disputes with a right hook. Meanwhile, the department itself is still shut down because Congress and the administration are arguing over immigration enforcement rules. So the agency responsible for national security is basically operating like a garage sale run by people yelling across the yard. Segment 5. Epstein Files and Political Grenades. Then came the Epstein Files release, which dumped more than 3 million pages of documents and evidence related to Jeffrey Epstein's network into the public record. That's enough paperwork to build a small library, or at least bury a few political careers under a mountain of court filings. The documents referenced a long list of powerful figures who had communication with Epstein over the years, including tech executives, politicians, and financial elites. Immediately, conspiracy theories started multiplying faster than rabbits in a cornfield. Some people are digging through the files looking for evidence. Others are just hunting for their least favorite billionaire. The controversy exploded when 15 documents were initially missing from the release. Officials claimed they were accidentally labeled as duplicates. Later, it turned out those documents contained allegations involving President Trump himself. The White House says the claims are baseless. Critics say it looks like a cover-up, and Congress has now subpoenaed the Attorney General to explain the whole mess. If you ever wanted proof that politics is basically professional wrestling with subpoenas, this is it. Segment 6. Weird Science, Meet Rain, and the Planet Being Strange. And because the universe apparently likes a sense of humor, the week also included a few stories that sounded like they came from a late-night radio show hosted by a guy who definitely owns a tinfoil hat. Scientists announced they discovered a massive gravity anomaly under Antarctica, basically a giant underground region where gravity is slightly weaker than normal. Apparently, this formed millions of years ago because of deep mantle movement inside the Earth, which means the planet itself occasionally rearranges its internal plumbing like a homeowner who just discovered YouTube tutorials. The discovery might even help explain how Antarctica's ice sheets formed in the first place, which is fascinating and also slightly unsettling because it reminds you the ground under your feet is not nearly as stable as it looks. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, hundreds of people celebrated the anniversary of the famous Kentucky meat shower of 1876, where chunks of meat literally fell from the sky. This year they reenacted the event by dropping plastic-wrapped beef sticks from an airplane. Only humans could take a mysterious rain of unidentified meat and turn it into a festival with snacks. In conclusion, the first week of March managed to combine war in the Middle East, an oil market panic, a shrinking job market, a cabinet firing, a political scandal involving millions of legal documents, and a festival celebrating meat falling out of the sky. Somewhere out there, a historian is going to write about this week, and future students will assume the entire chapter was satire. Sadly, it wasn't. It was just Tuesday through Saturday on planet Earth.